promising the American people he wanted to do and wanted to change since the early 80s.
It's a shame what's happening. Japan, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, everybody's taking advantage of the United States.
I think a lot of people are tired of watching other countries ripping off the United States. It's very important that you have free trade. But we don't have free trade right now, because if you want to go to Japan or if you want to go to Saudi Arabia or various other countries, it's virtually impossible for an American to do business in those countries. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. Kuwait, they live like kings. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
Some things never change, right? I mean, those are exactly the words, with perhaps some different countries. He's more upset about China now than he was. Japan was really the country that he was upset about back then. But Guy, this is the disruptor. I'm going to introduce you guys first. Guy, political editor at townhall.com, Jessica Tarlov, senior director at researchbustle.com. Everybody knows who you guys are, both Fox News contributors. Good to see you. Guy, he's the disruptor. He wants to throw the chessboard up in the whole trade environment. He wants to come in like a bull in a china shop and then start working on the perimeter to the deal. Maybe it's a nicer situation with Canada. Maybe it's not so bad with the UK. That's what we've learned about this president, right?
Yes. I mean, I think this is a terrible policy. I think trade wars are lose-lose propositions. But to your point, if he wants to be a disruptor, and he did talk about this on the campaign trail, he was tipping his hand that he's more protectionist than most Republicans have been in the past. I think the least he could have done is inform his own team that he was going to do it, so they were prepared to roll out what is, in my view, a bad policy. At least they would have done it with one voice, with preparation. But he didn't do that. He caught everyone off guard and blindsided his own policy and communications staff, which is stupid politics on top of stupid policy.
And this surprises you?
No. If you were asking me, I don't think it surprises Guy, or this way, I guess.
This is what we see time and time again, right? The president goes, you know what? Today's the day. I'm going to talk about trade.
And he also had an incredibly stressful week on other fronts, which I'm sure contributed to this, with Hope Hicks's resignation, which has been described as President Trump actually losing a limb, the attacking Jeff Sessions and Jeff Sessions pushing back, and then the bipartisan meeting on gun control, where he said, due process out the window, just take the guns and then we'll talk about it, which obviously his own party was not going to be thrilled about whatsoever, and including many of us on the left who do respect due process anyway. So I think that contributed to this a lot, but I mean, he's put people like Gary Cohn in an incredibly difficult position, someone who has been vocally against this even on the campaign trail when Donald Trump started talking about this. So it may be consistent, but I agree with Guy, it's bad policy, and it's bad policy for inside that White House, which I think is, I want to say increasingly chaotic, but I think it's just kind of the norm now. But it's a bad week.
I mean, just to play devil's advocate, you look at the trade imbalance, $800 billion, I believe, that we do have deals with countries that are not fair. And that's the reason why you've seen President Obama input tariffs at times. President Bush did it at times, because they wanted them to stop dumping, she said, steel, and to even out the market so that steel companies in America had a better shot at it, Guy.
Yeah, the problem is, and I get that, right? This is something that looks unfair. And I'm not just opposing this because I want to oppose Trump. I think the economic evidence shows that tariffs and trade wars don't improve the situation for either side. American workers and consumers and the economy will be harmed by a trade war. And so politically speaking, one of my concerns is Trump has done an excellent job on the economy. Look at the booming Trump economy because of pro-growth policies that he has implemented. That's one of the biggest things to see. This is an anti-growth policy that can blunt some of that progress, and that, to me, is also a political loss, potentially.
Great point.
Can I just piggyback off of that and say, with the midterms approaching and with the increasingly high approval rating for the GOP tax reform policy, that marginal difference that your previous guest, Tom Rogan, was discussing for poor families and middle-income families could hurt them. The generic ballot is getting closer. If it looks like it's going to hurt him on the economy, he's going to probably change his tune around the edges here. Maybe by Monday.
Good to see you both.
Happy weekend.
Bye, Martha.